In this battle between two Mikhails, Mikhail Tal and Mikhail Botvinnik plays a very closely contested match, and Tal eventually goes up the exchange, and he also goes up by a pawn into a winning position, helping him win this match. So after knight to c3, bishop comes to b4, making this the French defense, the Binava variation here. So idea is that because this knight is pinned, now this pawn, the pawn on the d pawn can capture the e pawn over here. So so usually e5 is pushed, and it's pushed in this game as well. And after that, c5 is played, attacking the d4 pawn, and pawn push to a3 is played, attacking the bishop. Bishop captures the knight, and pawn captures back. And after that, queen comes to c7 into this active, you know, c file, where once you capture this pawn, then you are looking to bring your queen over here, an early queen attack on the king. And if you you could lose your pieces, some major pieces here, if you are not careful. So queen to g4 here, attacking, counter attacking that particular g7 pawn, and pawn push to f5 is played, attacking this particular uh, you know queen, and the queen retreats to g3. Here a better move would be to develop your knight to e7, but here the pawn push to f5 is played, so the queen goes to g3 again, supporting the pawn on c3 again. So knight comes to e7 now, and queen now goes in and capture the pawn on g7. Rook comes here to g8, attacking the queen, and now the other pawn is also captured now. So now Tal is up by 2 pawns, but after this, the c pawn captures the d4 pawn, and the king now gets away to d1, because if you capture back, the queen can just come in over here with a check, and even if you close with your bishop like this, your rook will be gone. So because of that, the king moved away to d1, and after which the bishop to d7 move is played, trying to castle on the queen side by activating your pieces on the queen side. So a better move would have been to capture this pawn over here at c3. So queen to h5 with a check, and the knight covers the check with the support of the rook, and knight to e2 by Tal, and pawn push to d3 attacks the knight, and after that the pawn is captured, and bishop now comes to a4. The idea of this pawn push was to displace this pawn over here so that you can bring your bishop over here, place a check, and create an attack on the queen side. So king moves to e1 here, and queen comes into e5, capturing this pawn over here. A better move would be to push this pawn over here, occupying this d4 square, which is a crucial square, and bishop now goes to g5 here onto the attack, and also developing, connecting your rook so that it's protecting the king from any attack. So knight to c6 now, and pawn push to d4 now. This is a simple looking move, but it creates strengths for white's center, attacking black's pieces, and black's king is already quite exposed now. It's not castled as of now. So queen goes to c7 now, and pawn push to h4, supporting the bishop there, and pawn to e5 now, attacking the central d4 pawn. So rook comes to h3, and after that queen goes to f7 here, and pawn is now captured, and the knight captures the pawn back, and rook now comes to e3, threatening to push here f4 over here. And if you do not move your king here, your knight will be falling. So because of that, the king moved to d7 here, and a rook comes to b1, again attacking this particular b7 pawn over here. A natural move is b6, but a better move would be to bring your bishop over here and protect this pawn, and prevent any attacks through this open b file, and it also strengthen your center. But instead that, b6 was played, and knight to f4 now, attacking the knight, and a rook comes to e8 now. So rook to b4 now, attacking the bishop. So bishop retrieves to c6, the earlier square that we mentioned, and now queen goes to d1 here. So knight captures the knight, and rook captures back with an extra attack on the queen. So knight goes to g6 now, creating an attack on the rook, and the rook goes to d4 here. Now this queen and the rook creates a battery, even though it's protected by this particular bishop, battery on the king. So now the rook captures this e3 rook here, which actually is a kind of a mistake, because after this capture, this allows king, once the king moves to c7, this pawn is pushed over here to c4, because once this pawn is pushed, if you do not capture it, this your pawn you lose the pawn, and also this pawn have is already supported by two of white's pieces, and it can just push forward and be a queen, and it can create massive problems for black. So because of that, he was forced to capture it, and once he captured it, the bishop captures back with an attack on the queen. The queen moves away, and now the bishop takes the rook, and you're down the exchange. Black is down the exchange, and pawn push to h5 here. And as of this position, Botvinnik resigned the game, and Mikhail Tal won the match, because after the knight moves to f8, the rook will the bishop will first go to f4 with a check, and the rook will drop here to d8, creating pinning this knight against the queen, and also threatening to go over here, threatening a check, and could be made because the queen can just come over here, attack this pawn, and if you then bring your rook over here, then it will be game over pretty soon. So because of that, uh, Tal won the match as of this position, and Mikhail Botvinnik resigned the match. So thanks so much for watching. We'll be back with more such videos.